Today, we're going to take a closer look at a nice amount of semiconductor news impacting the overall space. We're going to look at Nvidia, AMD, ONTO, and TSMC. Now, I know your time is valuable and I'm not going to try to hold you hostage, so I'm going to put the most popular stocks at the beginning. We're going to start off with Nvidia and then we're going to work our way down. So I hope you guys enjoy the content. I definitely would enjoy for you to stay for the full episode. But if you can, make sure to hit the thumbs up, make sure to hit the subscribe button, check out the pinned comment for special offer at fool.com/Jose. Check out my free daily newsletter, whatthechip.happened.com, and check out my earnings ebook that just got announced again, as this is the new quarterly earnings. So let's get started.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so we start off with Nvidia. So Nvidia today was down roughly 1%, and after hours, the stock seems to be down another 0.3%. Now, Nvidia, we've talked about it, we've done a few episodes in the past few days, has seen a few negative sentiments towards the stock. For example, we had kind of those overheating issues, which I kind of mentioned I'm not worried about. We also had kind of those regulation issues that have come out, but we can see that the market is not really pricing that at the moment. Now, on today's episode, I want to take a closer look at a few things that some of the viewers have sent me via X or via comments here on YouTube. And the first one is this report that Nvidia's cutting-edge AI PC system on chip debuts in Lenovo's next-gen laptop, featuring N1 naming scheme, which is going to be a Blackwell a Blackwell and an ARM architecture, and it's going to be announced during Computex 2025. Now, for those that are not familiar, first let's back up. Computex 2025 usually happens in June or July, and or during the summer of 2025. And here it seems like Lenovo is mainly known for gaming laptops and kind of the consumer space. So it seems like right now Nvidia is expected to announce a consumer CPU and GPU partnership with MediaTek, very similar to how it did with the Project Digits. So many people might say, hey, look, Jose, this might be the same thing as Project Digits. And I would say it won't. I don't think that's the case, because Lenovo's, from these rumors, again, these are just rumors. And first, just let me explain the rumors and then share my overall thoughts on what it can mean for the overall stock. I think on the rumors, it's going to be more of something for the consumer space. It's going to be something in the high end tier product. Digits is more for kind of your AI developers, for your engineers, for your AI companies that need some form of AI performance or supercomputer on your desk. And that's what the Project Digits is. I believe this Lenovo is going to be, like I mentioned, more into the consumer space. I'm not sure if I'm excited about this or not. Obviously, entering the consumer market is pretty interesting, but I would only really be happy if this is a market where they enter, where it's going to be mainly something that is going to be high margin. So it's going to be the expensive laptops, the consumer laptops, the content creator laptops, the streamer laptops, right? The laptops that tend to have higher margins because they tend to be a stronger and more premium performance product. So if they enter that, obviously it could be beneficial for the stock. At the end of the day, though, right now, this is going to be mainly just AI market for Nvidia in forms of data centers. So it is good that they're entering in other products, but I think at the end of the day, investors are still only going to want to care about the data center space. Now, the other good thing about this is if they enter in this kind of consumer CPU and GPU product, it can also open up the market for other opportunities as the AI technology continues to evolve in the consumer space, right? Maybe eventually if we start to get more handheld devices, maybe MediaTek and Nvidia can work on something together. If we start to go, who knows? It opens up, in my opinion, optionality. And that's a great thing, right? It opens up optionality for Nvidia to do many more solutions in the consumer space. But if they do, the consumer market tends to be very, very competitive. So I would only want them to do something that tends to have high margins and be in the premium price point, right? Because I do believe that's where Nvidia has the strongest strength and will be able to compete the most. So pretty cool. like I mentioned, for Nvidia, though, I think the main excitement is going to continue to be in AI data centers. Now, for focusing here on Nvidia still, there are reports that Samsung has reportedly sped up its HBM4 by 6 months as Nvidia plans to release Rubin, which is in quarter 3 of this year. I think that's super, super early, right? We're getting Blackwell here in this quarter right now. We're expected to get Blackwell Ultra about, I want to say, 6 months from now, and that's already ahead of schedule. And now they're saying that Rubin might actually come out during the same time as well. There might be some truth to this. Maybe Rubin might be kind of getting made a lot earlier than expected, but I don't think Nvidia is really moving that fast unless something else is happening. But it is pretty interesting to see that Nvidia is forcing its HBM players to continue to innovate at rapid levels. Samsung hasn't really done so well right now, but based on these reports, it also seems that Nvidia is forcing companies like SK Hynix to speed up the delivery of HBM4. Now, the next thing is not necessarily an Nvidia news, but I think it actually showcases where Nvidia could be heading. If you are an investor of Nvidia, you have to believe that AI is innovating at rapid levels. And for NVIDIA to continue to win, AI needs to continue to innovate at rapid levels as well. OpenAI today is rolling out beta versions of Task, which is a new way to ask ChatGPT to do things for you at a future time. Whether it's a one-time reminder or reoccurring actions, tell ChatGPT what you need and when, and it will automatically take care of it. Now, I think this is kind of the early innings of AI agents, and it's a little bit more than just your typical it's just more than just your typical calendar, right? You can kind of tell it to do certain things when you get alerted as well, where you can read something, and the list goes on and on. So I think this is pretty exciting. It can kind of showcases where we're going to get out eventually. I mean, one thing, for example, as a semiconductor investor, I can make a daily task where, hey, look, every day at this hour, tell me some of the biggest news impacting Nvidia, because in the next few hours I will be doing a YouTube video about it, right? So I can already see, once it starts to get better and better, how I can use it to improve my daily life and improve my efficiency, right? So I think this is pretty interesting. And investors, while it's not necessarily directly correlated with Nvidia, we need to make sure that the AI market continues to evolve. So that's all I have for Nvidia right now. Now let's try to shoot some of the other topics I have in hand. First is AMD. So AMD was down roughly 1% today. The reason I'm talking about AMD is today we did have reports that Loop Capital did initiate a buy rating on AMD with a price target of 175, citing potential growth in accelerated computing and market share gains in the data center and PC segments. So I mean, I talked about it in the past. I believe AMD is very attractive right now. I don't believe it's going to be the next Nvidia, and I continue to say this. Nvidia is going to dominate this space dramatically, and it's going to be my favorite winner. And some of you guys might be wondering, Jose, why are you investing in AMD if you are just if you are so bullish on Nvidia? At the end of the day, I can't really have Nvidia is already over 20 something, 25%. It's over a quarter of my portfolio. It's very hard for me, right? And every investor has their own risk tolerance. I know there are some investors, I believe Matt, shout out if you're watching. I think Matt mentions that he has 100% of his investments in Nvidia. That is pretty impressive. I don't think there's necessarily anything bad with it, but every investor has their own preference and risk allocation. I think I'm happy with over 25%, between 25 to 30%. I'm happy with that results. A quarter or a third of my portfolio can be easily influxed by Nvidia, but I don't mind having other companies as well. And that's why I do enjoy AMD. I believe there's various growth opportunities outside of the AI space for AMD. It does seem low. I'm gonna, even though I'm bullish, I am also realistic. Loop Capital, they do emphasize that they like the risk and reward for the shares right now. And I think that is true. I want to agree with that. There is truth that I think risk to reward probability for AMD is very, very attractive. Now, Loop Capital also projects that AMD could capture 20% of data center GPU market by 2028, potentially driving 50 to 60 billion dollars in revenue by fiscal year of 2028. Now, this is where I'm going to put my Jose realistic cap. I don't think AMD is going to get 20% of the data center GPU market anytime soon, especially not by 2028, which is only 3 years away, right? I mean, a perfect example is Intel. Even in Intel, it took them over 7, 8 years to really get about 30% of the market share. And that's that Intel wasn't really innovating at rapid levels. Now you're telling me that you expect them to do 20% in 3 years versus a competitor that's dominating in this space. That is a reason where, and I think many people, you can be bullish in AMD, and each of them, and each reason to be bullish could be different from mine, right? I don't believe AMD is going to be that market share winner in the GPU market. I believe they can accelerate in other industries, though. So, while I do agree that this is a great risk to reward ratio for AMD, which Loop Capital mentions, the reason to be bullish for AMD, I think they're a little bit too overexcited, and I would definitely tell them to tone it down a bit. Now, the next topic I want to take a closer look at is Onto. So, Onto is a semiconductor equipment player. $10 billion market cap. What they do is they create metrology, so kind of an inspection of the manufacturing process, which is very crucial, especially with things like advanced packaging and especially in what we're seeing in AI chips and in the memory market. Well, today on January 14th, Onto announced that they had a nice order for one of their new products from a leading DRAM manufacturer for metrology product suite. They also expect that this market that they're growing into can grow dramatically in the upcoming year. So pretty bullish for Onto. I personally own Onto and I am bullish in the company. PE ratio forward 1 year is about 25.19. I think the semiconductor equipment market gives us buying opportunities. This stock was just at 160 a few days ago, and just in these last few days, the stock has gone up a nice amount. I think this is right now time to be patient, and if one wants to enter onto is dollar cost average, but definitely add it onto your watch list. Now, the final topic I want to take a closer look at is TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing. So TSM is reportedly the U.S. Commerce Secretary Raimondo stated that TSMC has started the production of their advanced 4 nanometer chips in Arizona, and that Apple is nearing the final stages of verifying its first made in America chips from this plant. That's pretty interesting, and some people might be saying, hey, Jose, isn't this great news for Nvidia, as that means they can make more and more AI chips? I just want to remind investors that for Nvidia, the problem is not the chip wafers that get or the actual chips that get made here in these plants. Is the advanced packaging, which is where we have the supply constraint. So, however, we can see from this report, even chips made in the United States will still be sent to Taiwan for advanced packaging until TSMC partners with Amkor finishes building its packaging plant in the United States. So this is obviously great news, but it's not necessarily going to mean more AI chips for the data center market from Nvidia. What we really need from TSMC is more advanced packaging plants, and that is happening right now. They're coming online, more going into construction, and this is going to obviously be a discussion during their upcoming earnings. So overall, pretty bullish, and it's just kind of nice to see chips being manufactured, advanced chips being manufactured back here in the United States. Now, those are all the topics I have for today's episode on the semiconductor review. If you have any topics you want me to discuss further, let me know in the comments below. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.